Are we all set? Think so. Yeah, we're good to go. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Thanks for joining us today for the latest of our series of webinars. Today's big data integration with FME. I think we all seem to say it every year, but it never seems to let us down. The leave and cert weather is as gorgeous as ever. Before we kick things off, I just wanted to very briefly just introduce myself. So I'm Connor. I'm the business development executive for Data Builders. Data Builders is a brand under IMGS where we're trying to grow out our data intelligence platform. As most of you will be aware, FME is a big part of that. We've been working with FME for the last 20 years. We have a team of experts here, and they recently as well have made a shift towards big data, where previously they were in a GIS niche. So yeah, we've done a series of these webinars to explore and educate all the seemingly endless capabilities of FME. I suppose we could probably nearly do one a week, I'd say, Kieran, at this stage. But yeah, no, we're really excited with the direction that it's going and some of the things that we can do. I know Kieran is jumping at the bit as ever to get into it, so I will hand you over to him. But before I do, as I mentioned, I am obviously the business development executive, so I'll be your point of contact if there's anything that I can help with. During the webinar, I'll be on the chat, but if not, I'll leave my details in the chat as well, and you can feel free to reach out to me afterwards, and I'll be able to help you in whatever way I can. So Kieran, over to you. Good morning.
Morning, Connor. Thanks. Another fantastic day. I think we should be out doing these webinars outside.
We
Might
really
be the
should.
way to
Yeah, we
do it
might
in the
think about
future.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. A bit of sunlight might help a lot. So yeah, welcome everybody, and thanks, Connor, for the introduction. So this morning I'm going to talk about big data integration with FME. Safe, as some people might have seen, have changed their branding, so you will see these new colors coming through from on the FME presentations. But organizations today need new levels of flexibility, and embracing the new data landscape and technology is crucial to grow in your business. So we've already seen the big data explosion. According to IDC, by 2025 there will be 175 trillion gigabytes of new data will be created around the world. So if you just look at that graph on the right hand side there, you can see the massive growth from 2020 to 2025. You know, like it's bigger than it had been for the previous 10 years. So it's just massively growing. And this is how you handle all this big data and massive information to actually make decisions, to actually gain insights is really important. Is be the challenge, and it's what's really going to make companies who want to be data driven, who can handle this level of big data, they're the ones that are going to get competitive advantage. So the challenges you get with big data are varied formats. So we get structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. So you know, if everything from your databases to your flat databases, NoSQL databases, to JSON files on semi-structured data like JSON, to Parquet, and then to unstructured information like imagery. So things or documents or whatever it is. So being able to handle all this information, to make decisions, to get insights is going to be really challenging, because the amount of data, the variety of data that's out there is now huge. Second thing then, with the big data challenge is storage costs. I think there's a duplicate on my slide there, but the second is storage costs. So for the last few years, we've heard a lot where people are saying, well, data storage is cheap. Put it in the cloud, it's really cheap. But actually, what we're now seeing, and even in a small SME like ourselves, we're already seeing the cloud bills ramping up from storing data. And even though data storage per megabyte is really, really cheap, when you hit the big data levels, you start getting some significant bills. And even in the last month, I've noticed Snowflake, who will be an alliance that we work with from a data warehouse, and I'll show you this morning some of their technology. They've already forecast that their revenues are going to drop in the next half year, because they are seeing companies are now saying, well, no, maybe we don't need to store as much data. maybe we need to cut back on our data storage and store less information. And that, because that's more cost effective. When the bubble was going up and and everybody was flying and tech companies were expanding and hiring, the cost of storage was seen as nothing. But actually now people are looking at their bills. They're looking at inflation. They're looking at the challenges that the modern economy now have, and they're seeing their cloud storage and their data center costs are now definitely hitting line items that CFOs and financial officers are looking at. So this big data storage is not as cheap as it's made out to be, and can get very expensive. So you do need to be looking at how smart you store key information, not all information. Processing time and cost is the other thing. The more information you have, the more time it's going to take to process, the more, and if you're using a cloud service, that processing gets more expensive the more you use it. So when you have your big data, it's not just a case of sticking up on a server somewhere and that's job done. You have to process it, you have to turn it into insight, you have to turn it into information. To do that, you need technology, whether that's on site or in the cloud, and all this technology all has a cost to it. So processing costs are expensive. The more data you have, the more processing you have to do. So with Safe Software, we have unrivaled format support. So when it comes to handling this big data and all of this big information, the site FME and Safe Software, as you can see, we have just a variety of formats up to 2023. So, and anyone who might be sharp and has seen this slide before, you will see that we've got a couple of new formats up in the top corner. So we got cloud native, so seeing the cloud native data. So these are the new things that you're seeing with Amazon, Databricks, these kind of guys. And you're also now seeing generative AI, ChatGPT, sorry, which is the big buzzword, the big fear, the big area we're now looking to see what's going to happen to the world. Now, I come from the background of growing up in the 90s when computers were the big scary beast that were going to take over the world. So maybe this is a realization of that fear that we heard in the 90s and then coming up to the millennium bug. But there is a real challenge. There's huge power with these AI technologies. But also, yes, naturally, there are big risks as well as to what it can do. I even seen this morning the Russian radio station was hacked and somebody faked Putin speaking on the
Hmm.
radio. So these are the kind of things that are going to kind of keep happening with AI. FME are continually adding their new data formats and new data connectivity. Here's a list of what's come out in the release in 2023 release. So you've got Airtable, the ArcGIS server, feature write service, cloud optimized GeoTIFF, Databricks, as I mentioned, flat GeoBuff. I've highlighted that in red because I'm going to show you a quick demo with that this morning. So that is a new GIS file that can store massive data, has a better indexing and way of handling that big data in a file format that it outstrips things like GeoJSON. I think it's like 15 times faster than GeoJSON on reading a gig file. It's faster than Shape, it's faster than File Geodatabase. So this is a really cool way to handle big data in a file format so that then you can use it for streaming or for other downstream services. So we'll show you that this morning. The generative AI reader we mentioned already, support now from Microsoft Azure Synapse SQL, NDJSON, NDJSON, MRWriter, Revit, Trimble Connect, and then again, lots of other stuff on the FME Hub. So FME continue to support all this new variety of data and these new formats. So again, just for people that maybe haven't seen the new branding and the new logos, FME Enterprise Integration Platform, one platform now, two technologies. So for those that's been around FME for the last 20 years, FME Desktop is now gone. It's now called FME Form. Be the difference. It's still the same product. It's got some new features, which is fantastic, and some very cool things after coming in the 2023 release. Conditional parameters on the in the workspaces that you can now set up different conditional published parameters, which is very nice, and yeah, a lot of other cool things. If you've seen the webinars, and we will be showing you some of this stuff later on in the year. FME Flow is now FME Server, so where you can automate your data flows. And FME Flow hosted is FME server in the cloud, which is what we've always known. And it's the safe software managed instance. But yes, Safe are being very clear, and this is why Safe are so innovative. Two products: the desktop or the Flow, the server or the form. And sorry, got that wrong way around. Desktop and the form and server and Flow. So it even take me a while to get used to it. So that's where you can see the new product. But what can FME do for big data? Well, FME can allow you to cut cloud storage and processing costs. So the first way is FME can aggregate the data as part of the data load. So we can cut down the analysis processing and speed up your time to insight. So if you're pulling all this different information together from different sources, FME can strip out the unnecessary data, aggregate it up, and push that your database, which then makes it easier for your analysts to use to understand because they're not playing with masses of information, but also means that they can then make quicker decisions because some of the analysis can be done for them as part of the data load. Um, with FME, then we can remove redundant data to cut down your data storage. As I said, a lot of companies over the last couple of years, with the explosion of these online cloud data warehouses, kind of went, this is great. We don't have to buy big servers. We're just going to throw the data up onto that Redshift or that Snowflake or that Synapse or BigQuery data engine. Sure, it's only a few quid a month. What they didn't realize is because you're not getting that upfront cost was every month they added more data to that, the bill went up and it kept going up. So what you then see is that they then start getting some scary storage cost bills that then they start looking at and going, well, do we need all data back to the year dot? Or do we need as a summary of the historical data? And if we do that, how do we cut down our storage costs? And of course, if we smaller data, then queries run faster, so our processing time is quicker. So by being able to strip out the, the redundant data, you're able to then be more efficient with what you have. Again, this doesn't just apply to cloud data warehouses. If you have on-premise or if you have your own data center on your own storage, you still got the same issue. You still have to stand up a disk somewhere, whether it's you're buying it as a cloud disk and a data store or you're standing it up yourself. There's no such thing as free or unending data. The storage. Someone has to pay at some point along the line. So you need to bear that in mind. Even ourselves, we see it ourselves. We have lots of VM servers in our office for hosting all our development systems or production systems. Yes, it's very quick to spin up a new VM, but eventually that disk will fill up. So you have to be efficient. You have to be always managing your data and keeping an eye on what you're doing. That's where FME can come in. FME can make sure you're processing your information so that you store relevant data, that you can get it from different sources and put it up into wherever you're storing your data. Okay, so I'm going to jump out and show two demonstrations. The first one I want to show is a demonstration I've created to show you how quick and easy it is to take big data from a simple source, run it through and push it out into a database. So for this demo, I'm using a small data set, and I use the word small, from Snowflake, that Snowflake provide on their data warehouse, which is their sample order table. Now that record has, if we look at it, it has 1.5 million records in it. And sorry, this got a bit screwed around. Move over there. But there. Yeah. So you can see we have a lot of data that's in the feature, and we can see all the records are here, and there are a lot of records. So we have 1.5 million rows in this source data set. So if I go out to my Snowflake, which I have fired up here, you can see this is my Snowflake data set. We have our Snowflake here, and I just picked the smallest data that we could have, which is the orders, and you can see the information is here, and we can actually look at the data inside our record. So I can actually see the information, see that there's 43 megs in this 1.5 million record. Now, Snowflake give you lots of other data sets that you can use to test your performance. So there are bigger data sets. So that's one. Then you have 10 times that, 100 times that, 1,000 times that. So if you really want to test your performance and what your workflows are doing, Snowflake give you a nice little data storage here that you can actually use for your data sets and to fire in big data and have a look at. So the big thing with Snowflake is being able to set your dashboard, set your system and how it works, and your warehouses and how things are actually running. So in your warehouses, you can see how the warehouse is set up, what kind of speed it's running on. So extra small, extra large. So all these things are different costs. So when you set up your warehouse, you can then define how quick or how slow you want it to run. If you have bigger data, you need to put on a bigger processing size. So you need to switch the size up in your cloud data warehouse. So the idea would be to keep your costs down is keep your storage down and keep your processing down. If you can keep them, then you're going to be very optimal with your data, with your cloud data warehouse. So, and that is not picking on Snowflake. Snowflake's an excellent tool, really easy to create database, really is at their warehouses. But like Redshift, like Synapse, like BigQuery, they charge on consumption, they charge on storage. So you need to be efficient in how you use it. So if I look in here, I have a simple Sisense dashboard, and I have my little orders table, which I brought in. And if I look at that data in my data model here, I can actually see, yes, I have 1.5 million rows. But how does an analyst look at that data and decide to make decisions? So if I create a dashboard of that, and I go create dashboard, and then I want to do a bit of a query, so create Snowflake data demo, and I can say, okay, I'm going to take order date. I want to look at clerk. I want to look at clerk by date. So I can do clerk, and then I'm going to get heaps of records because it's 1.5 million records. It's going to be really slow. But all I want to know is the total sales by each clerk. But the first thing I've got to do is even load up the clerks, and it's now spinning away because it's a massive table. So we need to filter that data out. We need to prepare that data. Now, in Sisense, you can do data prep in here in the live model. So we could create a table off that model. We could create a clerk dimension or lookup table so we can use it for easier measures, for easier analysis. Look at this, it's just spinning away because it's 1.5 million records running. What we want to be able to do is take that data back. So look at it spinning up the records. Finally comes back, great. But look at, here's all my clerks, whip-de-doo, I've got them all. And I can go in advanced configuration. I can add some values in here. Let's say it's total sales, which is total price sum, and it's going to stick that in as well. So, but I am now in Sisense. This is running queries on my Snowflake to process this data. And every time someone runs the query, they're running that query. That's increasing my Snowflake bill. That means I have a bigger bill at the end of the month. And this is what we want to try and fix. Well, why don't we prep the data so that we're storing less data in our warehouse and that the information for the analyst is easier to use so that they can return and query and come back. I'll let that run. It's going to come back in a second. So if I go into my FME workbench, what I'm actually going to do here is I've created a very simple workspace that takes in my 1.5 million records. So in here, the sales order comes in. So I've got my 1.5 million records. I'm doing nothing to it, only bringing it in. And then I'm going to have a statistics calculator. So using the statistics calculator in FME, I'm going to say, okay, group by the sales guy or clerk. So I want to know which sales guy is doing which sales. And then sum up each person's sale. So sum up their value so that then we can actually see their sale. So again, what I was trying to build in my dashboard, but the data was so big, it had to be prepped. I need to do more work on it. I can actually, because this is something that happens every month, I can prep this and go, okay, I want to write off the sales performance per clerk to a table so that I can have a historical analysis. But I'm not writing off 1.5 million records. I'm writing off the results I want to keep for history. So in here, I then have a simple output that takes the 1500 million records, writes it out. Attribute manager just tidies it up, gives it a name, puts it into the database, and then I write out to my different Snowflake data warehouse. So in my Snowflake data warehouse, or just for anybody who wants to see how you set up these connections. So you can see here's my Snowflake connection. and you can see how it's set up. Oh, that's not what I want to do. I want to edit that. So if I actually write a new writer just to show you. So if you add Snowflake, you can then pick a new, add a database connection. So in there, you actually put in the full path to your Snowflake instance. So in this case, it's uh, this piece here, which is the first bit. So if I go home to my Snowflake, it's the home address, and you get it from there. So let me just bring it across to you guys and show you the link. So it's this guy. Yeah, it's over here. Yeah, so you put in, you just put that in there. Just take it there, sorry. And if I go into my FME, let's just show you. So it's that path there. So it's just the address. This first piece here is the Snowflake bit that defines you, and then it's your region, your west. Oh, sorry, that should be in there in the account name. In here, you just give it any kind of name you want. So I can call it CK1 or whatever. And then you pick the warehouse, which is just the compute WH that you're using for your warehouse, the database that you're using, so FME or Snowflake or whatever, and the schema. So you just pick those three, put in your username and password, and you're into your Snowflake, you're working away. So really useful. And then same on the writer, you can have the same data going out. So if I run that workspace from beginning, just to prove I did it. So I'm saying my connection is my sales snow, and I'm going to push it out to my Snowflake demo. So you're now going to see us run 1.5 million records coming through here in FME. And you can see FME is chunking up 100 records, 100,000 records at a time. And this is me running on my very small laptop. It's a year old Intel laptop, i7. This is not a massive machine of any kind, but I'm taking 1,500, 1.5 million records. I'm going to run it up through the statistics calculator, and I'm going to push it out into my database, and I'm going to store off that information. So you're taking the reams of big data, doing something with it. You can see FME now is spinning around here, doing the numbers, going, okay, well, we only want the summary record. We don't need the historical record. We just need to know that in this month or in this last period, this is the performance that our guys did. Now, this is, in this case, I'm using sales. This could be asset performance. It could be testing performance, whatever results you want to hive off. You can take your data source, run it through, and then write it out somewhere else. And straight away, we are taking 1,500 million records of information, of data, and delivering 1,000 records of insight. So we've straight away drastically decreased our storage costs, drastically cut down our processing, because now when we go to when our analyst looks at the information, they're not, ensconced with a heap of information that they don't know and they're trying to struggle with. This guy could go, okay, well, this table has sale amount and clerk. So he knows who is the information he wants to see, what data they need from the data, and it's prepped inside and it's fast. So if I go back to so you can see that has now run. Go with the log. I can, I can look at the data. If I want to see the view the written data, I can see it here now. I've got my 1,500 records after coming out. So we can see the total amount is there now, and the clerks, each clerk has come through. So we have now taken sale amount, and you can see from our workbench, when we had 15 million, 1.5 million records here, we've now broken it down, done the information, gathered the insight using FME, and of course this is a repeatable process. So we can easily publish this to server, so publish to FME Flow. I will get used to not saying server. Publish to FME server, and that could be run as a batch process, or every night, taking the information, generating the insight, putting in a table. Now, if I go out to my Sisense and I go bumpty bump bump bump, yeah, I got some information back here now with great. But what I want to do is cancel that, create a new data source, which is my live connection. I'm going to call it CK webinar. Look at spell webinar. Hit save on that. Add some data. I'll choose my snowflake. It remembers my details from before, which is great. And this time, I think I put it in FME. And if I go down here, yeah, I've got my sales summary table. I can add that. It's out in quick inside. The analyst isn't playing with data. He's actually ready. I can publish that out and I can create a dashboard of that. Yeah, and let's create a webinar. It comes up. Select some data. I've now got two columns. They make sense. I know who I'm doing. So I'm going to say sum of sale amount. And I can say straight away I got 226 billion has been done in the sale amount. If I do the same thing and I want to go clerk, and I want to look at advanced config, I want to add in my sale amount, and I want to filter by the top 10 ranked by sale amount, apply. So straight away now I can now identify my top 10 sales guys. How fast was I able to do my insight in my dashboard? Because I had processed the data using FME. When I look at my data warehouse, I'm now storing 50 megs of data, not a gig and a half. So my bill has just dropped significantly. So this is where FME can really work with your big data. We can consume information from anywhere, we can manipulate it, and we can help you get insight. Otherwise, you will be struggling with it, and it just gets, you just have lots more information, but no insight. Lots more data, lots more disk space, lots more IT overheads. But using something like FME, you can actually help you get to generating your insight faster. The second workbench, I'm running a bit behind, so I'll keep moving. But the second workbench I wanted to show you, let me save that. Back up. So that's the, oh, by the way, this is the FME 2023 that I'm running here. It's not the official release yet for some reason, but it's got all the new features. It's pretty cool. So everything's there now that you can work with. And it's got the new icon, which is not great. But anyway, we'll live with that. Doesn't really matter to the how you use it. The next one I want to show you is with the buffered data. So fix up Wikipedia here. Let me open this version. So this is not my demo. I've ripped this off from Safe. So this is the flat GeoBuff. So as I said, really faster than Shape. Shape is pretty fast, in fairness to it, but to JSON, to file geodatabase, all these other formats, KML, GML, it's so much faster. Can store lots more big data, which then means you can then analyze that big data quickly and export it so you can use it for streaming or whatever. So this little example is really clever and shows you the performance of FME and the performance of this new big data format. So we had here all the locations in Wikipedia of all over the world that people have marked as locations. So you got millions of records, and we got the real countries. And then what we're going to do here is try and tidy them all up, fill in the missing country code, spit out the points, and then create Wikipedia cities of where they are. So I'm just going to run this, run the workspace, and what you'll see is it's now reading. Now you can see that chunk in that big data. So we're now taking in, I think it's 1,000,000+ records in this data set, maybe 1.5. I can't remember being the two demos. So really quickly, now it's reading in the flat GeoBuff. Again, this is on my PC, my laptop here. So this is by no means some big, hypey, fast machine. This is really small. And in seconds, where you can see the data going through the chain, where we're doing the spatial analysis, like taking 1.5 million records, spatially analyzing that data with 248 different countries and pumping it out and creating our cities coming out of that. So how fast is FME running to do these point overlays? Think about trying to do that now if you had shape files or a geodatabase or something and trying to run this kind of analysis, this kind of querying in this kind of time. we wouldn't be doing it on a webinar. We'd have a video here playing and speeding it straight up to show you how to walk through. So we're now at 85%, 90%, and we're nearly through our 1.5 million records. So this is just showing you the new support for the flat GeoBuff, but also GeoBuffer, as it's called, buffer, but also the speed of FME desktop from a performance point of view. It's something safe to do every year, which is improve their performance, improve the speed of the product for doing the integration. And now you can see that data is now gone out, and it's actually really nice to look at. If you look at the source data, this is kind of funny, and you look at the points, it's just running, and it's just going to blur here in the corner with all these 1.5 million points flying in from all over the world. So that's just going to take a second to come in, and then we have done that, and then we output over here the cities, and so you can see all the point data is coming in here. So it's real information. But even that, like even the fact that I'm able to spin those up and do it, and then if I look at my output, I can see the 500,000 records. Oh, I can see the 500,000 records data is there as well, and I can look at them, and it comes out really quickly, and it creates the file. So if I open the folder at my output out here, you can see there's the file geodatabase that's being created, and 116 meg. So we can see the different size of data that we can pull in and how we can actually get that data out and spin it out. Okay. All right, I think I'm sticking to time, not too bad. Let me go back here. The next thing we want to show is to talk about is just data gravity. It's something that we're seeing people now are getting more conscious of because of this bigger data. So what's happening is applications and services are being brought closer to their data. The closer the applications get and data get, then your throughput goes up and your latency. Big people don't think this is a big issue. Just think it's on the internet, it's on the cloud, everything's connected. But actually, when you're talking about masses of information, masses of data, yes, having the same data center in the same region as your data is hugely important. If you're pulling or streaming big data sets, you need to have them in the same location. And as data volume increases, so does data gravity. People are pulling the applications to where the data is to keep the performance up. And data gravity is the ability of data to attract applications, services, and other data. So where is the best place for data processing? With FME Flow, it's as close to the data as possible. So being able to have your FME engines or your FME processes beside your data improves throughput, improves performance, reduces latency. So one of the new innovations with FME 2023 is the remote engine service. So with the remote engine service, you can have increased efficiency because you can process your data wherever it resides. You can deploy anywhere. So deploy processing anywhere is part of one deployment. So you can have hybrid, multi-cloud, intercloud. So again, FME can manage different locations of engines so that you can actually connect the data where it needs to be done and work. And of course, this helps with security. So you can leave data to reside where it needs to be from a security point of view and move the FME engine to it. So again, that only the information or the meta or the insight is taken away from the location. The source data stays where it needs to stay. And this makes a lot better for GDPR compliance and security. So the remote engine service from FME, the goal is data is distributed, so make it easy to process all data where it resides, get away from the security blockers, and as we're seeing with data gravity, processing must move closer to the data. With the remote engine, FME Flow can move processing anywhere, so it's a feature of FME Server naturally. Remote engine service benefits: distributed processing, process data where it's faster. It means you can also do load balancing, so you can distribute your work across multiple machines. Easy then to scale, so you can add the process where it's needed. Also provides you naturally with a DR option, so disaster recovery, so you can launch new machines in different locations to handle failures. The enhanced security means the data remains secure location when it's processed, and you can also have access to special resources, so special machines for special requests, so you can have choose deployment separate from FME servers. So you might have something with Windows, Linux, or if you have special third-party software licenses like ArcGIS. This is a big. A lot. I know we've a good few. I think we have a few Esri customers on the call this morning. It really helps with the licensing for ArcGIS, because we always had the problem of having to put the have FME installed on the an Esri license, sorry, installed on the FME engine. So from a licensing point of view, they had to be together. Now we could put the FME engine on the Esri box, and this handles all this and makes it an awful lot easier. Um, so let me just skip out to a video here. Let me just bring it up. Oh, I think it played on me. It did. Let's just go back here. Oh, don't want that. This is the value of YouTube. Skip ads. So this is the engine management from FME server. So you can see here how you can create your queues, create where the engines can go, be able to put them out, set them all up, all done through your main server. So you can set up your different processes, where they're going to sit, how things are going to work, where the engines are going to be. So with the remote engine, then you're able to set that up, give it a name, point the URL, which is a web address of the server that runs the remote engine, and then it's coordinated from where you are sitting. So you're able to set it up and use it and work from there. So again, that's the one thing that Safe always get really well. They make management and the admin of their products so easy. So whether it's managing your FME cloud, if setting up cloud instances, I was really impressed how easy it is to do that through FME and manage all this again here with the engine management, all through the product, all through the GUI, no coding, no messing around with different systems. It's all just there for you to actually use, and then you can see which queues, which jobs are going to go via the remote engine, which ones are actually going to go via um, your main job. So again, it's spreading that load. So if you need to have separate servers in different locations, you can coordinate that so that that server, that engine runs where your data is. So again, I think this is brilliant initiative. Anybody who's, we work with people who want to get data to the cloud, but then there's certain data they want to have on premise. They want to use FME cloud, so they can have their remote engine on premise with their data, have their information up in the cloud, and then push whatever they need to in the cloud, or use cloud applications instead of having to stand up their own infrastructure. So this is really good, where you have data locked down in different locations, can't be moved, siloed or whatever. You can bring the engine to it so that you can then integrate it and run it and set everything up nicely, and then to run in parallel and all work together. Okay, well, I won't spend too much time on that. I think that's covered that. So, and that's pretty much bringing us to the end of this webinar, and I'm not too far off being on time. One final webinar we have on the data side and data builder side is we're delighted to be launching a new product as part of our data intelligence platform. It's called Data Galaxy. Fits very nicely with the name into our messaging, and it is a really innovative platform for creating governance, for creating lineage about your products. And it can be done in a self-service, easy way, where it can scan your network through a controlled way. You can click on a Power BI dashboard, and then it can tell you the data lineage from there back to the data. It has the ability then to manage your data catalog, so you can create your data catalog and manage it going forward. And then once the catalog is created, being able to share it. So we'll be launching that product on the 27th of June. Our new partner, we're delighted to be partners with Data Galaxy. We're their sole representative in Ireland. So they're on the Gartner chart for data integration, for data governance, sorry, and data catalog. So they've got some great references, some great customers. And I think I was seeing some of the product there in the last couple of weeks. And we're really excited about it, because we do know, we've talked to customers, this is the next big challenge, is with all the more governance, with all the bigger rules and regulations, how do we make sure that everything is done properly, that security, and a lot of organizations just don't have a catalog. They're just running, they've got their BI, they've got their data warehouse, they've got their integration. They're not really building catalogs to go along with that. And that's big need and big requirement, and we're delighted to be partnering with Data Galaxy, and we'll hope to show it to you on the 27th of June at 10 a.m. I actually forgot to put the slide in, but we also have on the 20th of September, we're going to have our data intelligence event in the Ashling Hotel in Dublin. We've already got a few customers nicely lined up to speak, particularly around the FME side. So for you FME customers who come from the FME background, there was no FME World Tour this year. SAFE didn't run it, but the data intelligence event in September is the FME World Tour pretty much. All the usual content where you see the latest and greatest stuff from FME, some great FME stories, but we're also going to show you our Sisense tools from a BI, and we'll show you Data Galaxy, our data governance as well. So Connor will be in touch with you about that and let you all know about it. But that's going to be a really good event, and really looking forward to seeing everybody face to face again, because it's been a while. So that should be good. I'm not sure if we have any questions that come in.
Indeed.
Or any comments or anything. So we're just nicely on time. We always try not to get away by 11:15, so you get a few minutes back in your day. But have we any comments or anything come in? I haven't really been
Not
keeping an eye.
nothing as yet, Kieran, but no, very exciting times ahead with all the new partnerships and events coming up. So, yeah, well done as ever. That was really informative, really great. Yeah, thanks a million. I don't think there's been any questions, so yeah, we can let people go. I believe.
Well, there's no questions there. Just to say to people, the September 20th event and the upcoming webinar for Data Galaxy, they're both live and available now to register for on the website. So feel free to jump on, and they'll be able to do that on the Data Builders website.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for attending. We've had great attendance to our data series over the last couple of months. We've really enjoyed it, and we'll be starting them back up again. We'll do the Data Galaxy at the end of this month, but then we'll have another round of stuff particularly with the new FME release come September, and we'll have some more events, some more sessions. Then you hopefully get you on, and we'll have our accelerators, which we've carried out over the last couple of weeks as well, where you get to do FME training and Sisense training, and we hope we do them as well. So yeah, you'll see them coming. So hopefully you have all of a good summer, and then if we don't see you on the 20 at the Data Galaxy event, we'll see you in September.
Indeed.
Okay. Thanks everybody. Thanks Tanya. Thanks
Cheers,
Connor.
guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.